Hello, I'm packing up an order for CGC and was asked to make more videos. So somebody suggested that I go ahead and do a prediction video, which I'm terrible at and terrified of, as to what grades these will get, and then do a companion video when they come back. So since I'm packing up an order for CGC, I thought I'd let you in on it. I know people who are great comic book collectors who don't like to deal with CGC because it's a bit of a maze to the process. So hopefully I can demystify that a little bit. The most important thing to remember when packing for CGC is that you submit stuff that's going on the same grading tier. And there's a whole lot of things that can split up an order and divide it out to different departments of the building. So, like if you want a custom label for your slab, that goes to a different department. So, if I took 2 copies of the same book and got a custom label on one of them and not on the other one, they'd go 2 different places, and therefore, when they get shipped back, they get shipped back separately. And you get hit for the delivery service twice. So to minimize your cost, you want to group books by the same grading tier, which means they have to be, CGC divides by age. If it's before 1975, if I remember right. If it's after 75, it's a modern grading tier, and those all go to the same place. If it's before 75, it's at least value, if not economy. Second factor is value. If you declare that a book is worth more than 200, that will bump it from value to economy. And if it's more than 400, I think it is, which I don't do very often, so I don't remember very well. I think I've done one. It gets bumped to a totally different tier. And then if you want a custom label, it breaks it out further. So if you did an order that had books from modern and after 1975, before 1975, and of values ranging from under 200 to 200 to 400 to above 400, and some of those had custom labels, you could be paying for shipping like 5 different times. So all these, the declared value is 200 or less. And I'll explain that for some of these. And they are all pre-1975. So there's 13 books, and they're all going to the same place. They're all value tier. None of them rises to economy. None of them is modern, and none of them are getting custom labels. I actually had a couple that I went, do I want a custom label for that? And I went, no, I'm going to keep them all together. So all 13 of these books are the same grading tier. You have to do that to minimize your shipping costs. So here we go. Defenders number 1, 1972. Now this, I pressed most of these books, and this one came out really high grade. So in its raw form, it's still under 200, but once it's graded, it might be substantially higher. And I'm hoping for an 8 or better on this one, because I don't have a good eye for this. I'm getting better at it, but there aren't a whole lot of flaws on this book. This one's the rough one right there. So I'm hoping for an 8 or higher. I'd be over the moon if I got a 9. Sea Devils number 2. This one's a little beat up. See some spine problems. This one's about a $70 book, and I thought, hey, let's get it slabbed. Because this is one that a friend of mine picked up from a garage sale and sent my way. There's 2 books from that garage sale in this pile. So I thought it'd be fun to get those graded. This is the second one from that pile. This is Space Adventures number 40. It is an early appearance of Captain Atom, published by Charlton Comics. Oh, I didn't give you a grade for the Sea Devils. I'm hoping that one comes in around a 5, but I think all this scuffing and beating up will probably make it a little bit lower than that. So I'm hoping for a 5 to a 6. The Space Adventures is a little bit more beat up. I don't want to reveal the next book. I declared this one at $50 partially because of condition and partly because that's what you get it at about a 4. So again, I'm hoping for a 5 on this. I'm expecting a 4. Superman number 10, 1941. Now, this is the one where you'd raise an eyebrow and go, isn't that worth more than $400? And unfortunately, you can tell from a distance, but once you get close up, it gets a whole lot more obvious that this is a low-grade copy of the book. So its value is somewhere in the $150 to $250 range. So I declared it at $200, and I am hoping the guy that sold it to me says it's a 0.5, and there's some arguments to be made for 0.5, including the tape and the cover beat up and all that. So if it comes back at a 0.5, I didn't lose any money on it. But if it comes back at even a 2, it's worth more than I paid for it. If it comes back at a 1.5, it's worth more than I paid for it. So I'm expecting a 0.5. I would love to get a 1.5 or a 2, but this is probably a 0.5, maybe a 1. Commandy number 1. Some people watching the video just laughed. That's cool, because this is a pretty high-grade copy of Commandy number 1. And I have a good 4 or 5 copies of this, so I pulled the one that was highest grade, that I thought was highest grade, and decided to submit it. So I'm hoping this one clears 8. I would love to get a 9 out of this, but hopefully an 8 or better. Justice League of America number 17. This is my lowest number Justice League at the moment, though that's likely to change in the next few months. It's got a few dings here and there. There's holes in the bag. Those are holes in the bag, not holes in the book. But not a ton of defect to it. It's certainly not mint, but I'm hoping to get a 5 or a 6 out of this. 5, I think, would probably be about where I'd put it. It'd be lovely to get a 6. Iron Man number 9. This is a good grade copy of this book that I got at a reasonable price. And the buyer I had lined up for it kind of vanished on me. So I figured, all right, let's go ahead and submit it and get a grade out of it so I know exactly what it's worth. I would probably put it at 6.5, maybe 7. I'm hoping, again, to be surprised, delighted. But yeah, that one, we're looking for a 6.5. Fantastic Four number 46. This is the first full cover appearance of Black Bolt. The Inhumans were an issue or 2 before. This one's pretty beat up. You see a lot of creasing in it. And I don't know if that's subscription creasing or reader creasing. Subscription creasing is usually in one place where the book was folded to go into a mailbox or something like that. And there's several of those. So I'm expecting this one to come back 3.5-ish. Maybe a little lower even. But still, it's a book that's worth grading because it's a significant key for the Marvel Universe. This is my lowest number Detective Comics. It is number 139. And so I'm grading it to get a value out of it. I know what I paid for it. I did pay less than $200 for it. I declared the value that I actually paid for it, and I pressed it. So this was a much deeper crease before I pressed it. And so I'm going to submit it to see what kind of value we got out of the purchasing and then pressing. This one's, many of these are collection books. A few of them are going to go up for sale once they come back. So that's Detective 139. Oh, this one's tough. That crease is the only significant defect, but there's a lot of little dings. So I'm going to call this one probably a 3.5, hopefully. Action Comics number 241. This is actually the first appearance of the Fortress of Solitude, even though they call it Fort Superman in the book. It's not in great shape, but it's not in terrible shape. So I'm hoping this one comes back a 4.5. That one's likely to go up for sale. I don't know though. Sometimes I go, oh, but that's so cool and it's so much a piece of comic history. Must hold on to it for the kids and they can sell it if they want after I'm dead and I won't know. As Adventure Comics number 381, this is the first time that Supergirl gets her own book. As the first issue of Supergirl's own book. So I bought this. As with many books, I buy them cheap and then I see what I can do to improve them. So this one has had a press. And after the press, it's actually in pretty good shape. There's some spine ticks, especially if you zoom in close. But it feels like a solidly mid-grade book. So I'm hoping for a 5, maybe a 6 out of this. That'd be really nice. But we'll go for 5. Batman number 34. Oh, this is my lowest number Batman, and I don't know when that's likely to change because low number Batman are pretty tough to come by. And it is a low grade copy. I have pressed it because there was a crease there that you can see that I reduced via pressing. But I'm not expecting a high grade out of this book, so we're going to go 1.5 or 2. The Superman's in worse condition, so I'm hoping for a 2 out of this one. Won't be surprised if it comes in lower because, again, that Superman might be a 0.5 and this might be a 1. We'll see. I'm still learning about grades. I'm not great at it. So there you go. And finally, Tales of Suspense number 97, which is the first appearance of Whiplash. You might recognize from Iron Man 2. I've always loved the character of Whiplash. Mickey Rourke's a great actor, but that wasn't really Whiplash to me. But yeah, this is his first appearance. Yeah, that was my comic snobbery coming out. This one's a mid-grade book, maybe slightly higher. So knowing that this Swamp Thing came back at a 7 with this, I still can't pick up the crease. There's a crease in the corner of the book. Knowing that came back a 7, and my Killing Joke came back 7.5. And these are in that ballpark. I'm going to say 6.5 to 7 on this one. Yeah, and we'll see where that gets us. So there you go. 13 books, all on their way to CGC. I'll be sending them out this Friday. The turnaround on the value tier is 100 business days. So we're looking at 20 business weeks. So that's 4 or 5 months. Yeah, 5. It's about 5 months. So we'll be expecting these back towards the end of the year. Well, we'll track them through the system and see how they do. One final note on CGC. You can also ask CGC to press books, but pressing books through CGC adds 10 weeks to your turnaround time. So I recommend finding a third party to get your books pressed and prepped before you send them to CGC to make the turnaround quickest. But in my experience, most folks that press books, they have the same kind of business going on turnaround. So if you know somebody locally to you who presses books, it might be worth creating a relationship with them because they will improve the value of your collection, especially if they know what they're doing. And I'm getting better at it. I'm pretty good at it, but I know I still have stuff to learn. There you go. Hope you enjoyed. Peace.